What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Uh, News patterns, increasing news patterns. I'm gonna use this scenario, right? People talked about police brutality when technology wasn't an option, as technology wasn't as um, pervasive in the society, right? You're just going on people's words. So when people used to say, "Man, it's fucked up out here," people, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." And I think technology in itself has expanded a lot of people's reality. So let's use um, Trayvon Martin, right? People feel, oh, well, we don't really know what happened. Nobody was there, okay? And you got black people like, motherfucker, we know what happened. Y'all know what happened. Nobody saw what happened, okay? So then you go to the next shooting, Jordan Davis. You can't necessarily say nobody was there because it was like at a gas station convenience store, so you know they got little cameras or whatever. It's like, wow, that's just, it's not like, but it could be extenuating circumstances. Okay, that's extenuating circumstances. Okay. Take a brother like, which probably was before Trayvon, was Oscar Grant. You watching it like, that's the isolated incident. So I should have put that one first, right? And then you see things happening, just like the brother that got shot after Oscar Grant, getting off the bus or whatever, and then it escalates more. Then you get Eric Garner, right? And it's on camera, and people are like, that was wrong. People need, I mean, that's okay. Maybe something's a little bit wrong with the system, but that's the guy was a little scared. He was big. Like, okay, okay. Then go a little further with technology, right? With Michael Brown, you know, didn't nobody film the crime, and here's what I want y'all to understand about Michael Brown in particular, because I'm gonna tie Michael Brown to the I think it's Walter Scott, right? Has anybody ever asked the question? Because when they made the narrative about what was going on, right? So there was no dash cam in this car. Never had a dash cam in this car. Police cruiser, no dash cam. Use a motherfucking lie. But because we could have seen what happened right on the dash cam. We could have heard what happened right on the dash cam, right? And but people believe the story, right? People believe the story in the sense of, oh, he was in fear for life. He charged at him. Now, nobody, no, when people say nobody was there, nobody could see it, it wasn't on tape. But then on the flip side, they say, oh, well, we know he charged at him. He's a big, strong guy, and he took some cigarettes and shit. So we know he was Hulk smashed. Like they can put them two and two together, right? It's like y'all crazy, y'all delusional. But then you fast forward to the Walter Scott thing, right? And then the shit's all on tape, right? And people are like, fuck, I can't. And what I mean, just like in a young brother that got his back broken died in D.C. You know, the thing about this is the more excuses that people make for bad behavior. If you notice, the news keeps finding stories that are very similar because this shit goes on every day. Like you got to understand how prevalent the stuff that you see on the news is when it makes the news, and stories similar to it make the news every day. When people talk about these teachers, most notably a lot of white women being pedophiles fucking these kids. Oh, it's just nice to let the incident. Next week another one happen. Next week another one happen. The next week another one happen. The next week another one happen. The next week is on tape. The next week is on video. The next week, you get what I'm saying? And they're like, yo, what the fuck? And you can't keep isolating these incidents, right? And then people will say, They talk about like white privilege or whatever. White people get away with this. White people, and it's like no, they don't. And then you got Clive and Bundy on tape, and then you got guys walking around with open carry rifles, talking shit to cops and going. Then you got in the same backdrop, you know, brother getting shot at a Walmart, a kid getting shot in the park, in the same type of open carry states. It's like, yo, the news is so bad. It's proving everything that people are saying about the craziness of of America, and even when it comes to military type shit, right? Or policies that are placed upon people. I remember it was talking about the gay community. Or black people are the most homophobic, and when you look at news stories, you don't see when you see a news story of somebody gay saying somebody black did something to them. Usually, the story gets retracted because it was a fabricated lie. When you see news stories, the the increasing amount of news stories of men getting out of jail for 10, 20, 30 years for crimes they didn't commit, and lawyers and judges and police officers and witnesses who've lived full lives in these 10, 20, 30 years come out, oh yeah, I know I was wrong and I'm so sorry. Every day when I went home to my nice home and drove my nice car and ate good and hung out with my family and my kids, I was so deeply, deeply, deeply disturbed about what I had done to you. And then I went on vacation while you were locked up, and I was sulking in the Bahamas, just like, I can't believe I did this shit. The guilt. And you see this shit more prevalent, and the news pattern keeps showing that, this country is really fucked up, right? Just using the president as an example of, when the president got elected, it's a great moment for race relations in the world, and people are like, oh shit, we're finally getting over it. In the news for the last 7 years, he's like, no, we not only are we not getting over race, this shit getting worse. And every week it's a news story to prove it, right? Yeah, every couple of weeks there's something crazy going on with the president. The initial, he won to the shit, not to to not that long after. You lied. I mean, shit. People knew right then, like, oh, this shit going downhill fast. The portrayal, of the news patterns, like when I recently talked about the story with Janae Rice and Ray Rice, but I guess I'm gonna bring them up one more time. Ray Rice was such a horrible human being, right? Man, War Machine, that shit didn't even hardly exist. And if you see what he did to that woman, that was some that wasn't that was fucked up. Beyond that was just completely fucked up. But real time, same time frame, right? Nobody gave a shit, right? And I talked about that before. Jeff Gordon compared to other people, like, yo, what the fuck is going on, right? And it seems like every time, I'm gonna end it because what I'm getting at is this: every time people have a gripe that people feel makes no sense, the news cycle over time shows you, yo, okay, if you make these stories relatable, you would see what's what. Matter of fact, this is why I did multiple videos on George Zimmerman. Because Georgie wouldn't hurt a fly. Georgie would never. Georgie's just a humble, nice guy who nobody would. He can't even fight. He was in fear for his life. That was a total contrast of what went on that night. He got his head hit against the concrete 30 times. That defies all fucking physics and logic with the human body, with concrete in the back of the skull. But that doesn't matter because Georgie was just such a. He was an angel. And then, he acquitted, he go home, and then people like, man, this motherfucker go ham. And people, you don't know what you're talking about. And did the news not start coming out? That was coming out during the trial, but it seemed like it was suppressed because the news does suppress shit to make people look good, and then throw out the rest of the shit afterwards. Like, oops, I feel like that dude that's all over the internet. Got him. They do that all the time. But when people started saying, then the rumbling started happening. Like, his cousin said that he molested her. He was racist on the internet before. He got to fight with a cop. How the fuck you do that? Georgie don't seem to be the nicest guy that we said he was. Oh, but that was the past. Beat up one girlfriend. Oh, Georgie, what is your problem? Cheating on a wife would beat up the wife, then beat up the girlfriend, then beat up the girlfriend's dad, then taking pictures with the Caltech dudes, and then signing signs, then the Trayvon Martin painting, and then people like, you know what? No. Now, for all people who say OJ did it, people not saying, yeah, George Zimmerman did that shit. Because look at his actions over the last, this motherfucker's always in some shit. He's always beating women, pulling guns on people, fighting motherfuckers, being disrespectful to people, being a complete utter asshole, threatening people. Do you know who I am? Like breaking laws, like, and people's like, you know what? The news pattern has shown that something's up. Same thing. That's why I started with the brothers I started with. The same thing that goes on with police brutality, right? Well, it's not that bad. Damn, that story. Oh, but that's an isolated incident. Oh, it's another story. Oh, but that's isolated. Oh, but it's another story. Oh, but that's isolated. Oh, but it's another story. Oh, yeah, and it's another 50 that didn't make national news. All these different cities. What about the one time that the one black cop hit the one white person? Really? So you overlooked the other 150 fucking incidents just now and said, what about the one time? Okay. When people say, oh, they're not going to get arrested, they're not going to go to jail, they're not going to get acquitted. The justice system, really? How many times we got to see this on the news? The system just works like that for everybody, really? Not guilty, acquitted, no bail, case dropped, case dismissed, not enough evidence. He was a thug. He had it coming. That type of shit, right? And then people are starting to look at it like, because every time somebody makes a scenario that they think works, immediately after, not immediately, but in the very near future, the news can do a story that parallels that same exact story, the same exact way, and they can fill in the blanks of how this shit was, how that shit was, and people start thinking. That's why people were saying what they were saying earlier, because this is basically the same situation. That's what I was talking about, the Walter Scott and the Mike Brown thing. Oh, but he was running, he shot him in the back. Mike Brown got shot in the back too. He turned around after that, but he got shot in the back too. Like, he got shot in the back and turned around. Stop shooting me, bro. That's how people were saying. Other people like, no, he got shot at, and he just said, and he got angry, and he turned into fucking Lou Ferrigno and shit. But people were just going ridiculous, right? And I've seen, and I will say this also, I've seen non-black people who will usually follow these narratives, look at more and more of these stories, and they starting to say, this ain't the America I thought. I thought these people were full of shit. I thought these people were lying. I thought this was just somebody talking shit because they felt like they got the shaft by the system on some fake racist shit. And then it's like, and you see the people change over time. Like, no, this is how the world. This is how they see how all of these things operate in the world. And now, the frequency of these stories is starting to change people's perspective because they're seeing like, okay, America is different for different people. America is different for you depending on your race. America is different from you depending on your gender. America is different from you depending on your age. America is different from you depending on your class. So the stereotypical America, people are coming to grips with the fact that it's it is diverse in its fuckery too. And the news has been proving that over and over and over again because you can always these stories all wind up being commingling and correlating to how another one happened because it's all following the same MO. Alright, man, y'all have a good one.